Hey guys, my name is Carla Grace. I am a full-time wildlife artist and I've just completed my new snow leopard tutorial. In this sneak peek, I will show you how I painted the light tones in the soft focus area of the thick white fur. I'm going to show you how to use lighter tones to create depth and texture, working with delicate brushwork, resulting in a realistic finish. We'll also cover how to adjust the tones with glazes and give you some practical tips for achieving that soft focus look. I show a step-by-step process on how to layer the paint efficiently, achieving a beautiful painting in less time while still being realistic. My process makes acrylic paint easy to work with, vibrant, and takes all the guesswork out of the color mixes. Now I'll show you the full section from the tutorial and I'll see you at the end. All right, now I would like to bring in a few lighter tones. Now this application of lighter tones is going to be in a very focal area. I'm going to use the slightly cooler version that I created. So this is the mid-tone value that we mixed right at the start with a touch of Payne's Grey. So the touch of Payne's Grey just mutes it a little bit, adds a slight blue hue, which gives it that cool grey look to it, which when we place it on top of such a warm base that we've created, it makes it look really white without it being as white as the snow that we've painted in the background. So we still have that to play with. And I'm going to come in first underneath. So it's still quite warm, which is great for down this side. Wipe off any excess and start applying it very lightly. So I'm just going to brush as if you're brushing the fur itself. Use the edge of the filbert to create the ends of the tufts of fur. So go on at an angle with your brush and then allow the ends of the filbert to create the ends of the fur. Don't put a lot of pressure on that brush. Make sure it's very lightly handled and let those layers show through. Don't try and cover them up. And this will make the fur look thick as well as very soft and fine if you want to pat it. All right, so now we're zoomed in and I'm going to show you a little bit closer detail of what I'm talking about here. So holding my brush at this angle, apply it. If you notice that it's making these little ball things at the end of the brush stroke, and you've got too much water on your brush, dry it off a little bit with a paper towel and get more paint on there, and then start again. So at an angle and sort of drag that brush very gently and see how I'm allowing the bristles to make the end marks there. I'm not trying to make it a smooth mark. It's a very rough, transparent almost mark. It's showing everything. I'm allowing all of the layers to show through. I don't want to worry too much about opacity right now. That will come in with more layers, and more layers is fine because it makes the fur look thicker. Right now, all I'm doing is creating depth through allowing the darker tones to show through, and I'm creating the texture with my very, very fine application of this layer of paint. If you feel like this layer is too light, don't worry about that. You can add more of a glaze to this in sections afterwards. So focus very much on the layers of fur that are lower than the higher ones because that makes it easier to build the layers up. So I'm just going to concentrate now on this for a little while and I will reconvene with you when I finish this section of the fur. Wherever you see that the marks are a bit darker, you can just simply grab a darker version of the mid-tone to apply to that area. You want to speed up the finishing of that specific section, which is obviously what I'm doing here at the bottom. So now I'm focusing a much lighter version of what we've been applying right to the ends. So this is going to enhance that sense of depth and pretty much be the last layer that we apply to the section, and then I'll move on to the rest of the chest and get that part finished as well. So sometimes, even though working across the whole painting is a really good practice and it helps to achieve more in a shorter period of time, if you feel like you're losing your way doing that, working a little bit more specifically, like I am doing here, helps to feel like you're making more progress. It also helps to ground where you're at in the process of painting. So do what works for you. Tutors can tell you to do as many different things, but until you start doing it and figuring out what works best for your practice, make it work for you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. So now that I've finished with that area, I'm going to start adding a few more golden tones as we get further along the chest. This is a slightly lighter, more in focus area. So I'm going to add these values, sort of like dry brushing across the surface. I don't want to lose the marks that I've made already. And so I will make sure that I add it as finely as possible so that we just keep all of those textures showing through. But otherwise, I'm going to be working in exactly the same way as what I have been. You can, of course, add stronger colors to the chest if you want to. So like a glaze of raw sienna will be probably really good, especially along here if you really wanted to enhance those golden tones. And yeah, a little bit of burnt umber to it as well. That'll take it a little bit further into the depth there and make it glow that much more. So I'll show you a little bit of what I mean. So it doesn't have to be a full-on new color mix. All you need to do really is add a couple of glazes here and there, and it'll automatically transform the color that you've got on the painting. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. For the full tutorial, please follow the link in the description. Remember to subscribe to see more tips and art from me, and I'll see you next time.